Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for a book that is kind of a compilation of Man-Bat comics. It's called, under this headline, whatever, logo, Batman Arkham, Man-Bat. Now, Batman Arkham was not tied to the video games or anything like that. It's kind of just a series that would release a really good compilation of origin stories or retellings or stories involving different Rogues Gallery villains of Batman. I think we had one for Two-Face, maybe like Riddler. I don't think there were smaller villains like Mad Hatter that people know the name of, but people don't really talk about that much. I don't think there's one for like the Ventriloquist or anything like that. But I read this on my Nook, and I know I own a couple more. I think I have a Two-Face one as well. But anyway, this is for the bigger villains, and I always thought that was kind of, unique. And this is kind of an interesting book. It's about 300 pages. And it's repetitive, heavily. I think the origin of Man-Bat is told and then retold to us 2 more times. So a total of 3 or 4 grand times you get to see the Man-Bat Kirk Langstrom story told over and over and over again. Now, I don't know. I think the Lizard in Spider-Man was created before Man-Bat. But I think those 2 characters are very much too similar to not argue about, in my opinion. Of course, Man-Bat also has Batman in reverse, split in half and reversed as a name, which is kind of cool. I didn't hate Man-Bat growing up. I actually kind of liked him. I thought the toys looked very cool when I was growing up and going to little stores in the mall and stuff as a kid, seeing a lot of the Todd McFarlane type of stuff that was coming out when I was younger. That was cool to look at. Then I played things like Lego Batman. That was cool. Seeing Man-Bat pop up for that terrifying jump scare in Arkham City was great. That happened to me randomly, and I think I played it for like 20 minutes when that happened to me. The only time I ever played the game, matter of fact, because I wasn't a huge Arkham City fan. And, I got the shit jump scared out of me because of that game, and because of Man-Bat, which was wild. But anyway, I like Man-Bat quite a bit. I think he's pretty cool, and I always wanted to know more about him, so I decided to start this volume probably, I want to say 8 months ago. And I started reading it, and I finally finished it recently because it wasn't the most engaging read, but it was good enough. It had some good stuff in here, and for the sake of this review and the review I did on my previous other book review channel, Mr. Wildboy94, I decided to sit down and kind of browse through the previous, comics and stuff and everything, just to make sure I had a general grasp on not imagining that the origin had been retold like 5 times. But anyway, this is overall, a solid read, very mixed about the repetitive nature of it. It probably would bother a lot of other people less than it would bother me. When I read novels or short story collections that are just regular words on a page and not a comic collection, I always like the fact that I'm going to get a lot of varying tales, maybe different genres, whatever, whether it be from Stephen King or Brian Keene, it doesn't really matter. You can get a lot of different tales from different people. And when I go into these 300-page collections of tales, I always expect that. And when I read comics, it's like I can't break myself from the idea that I'm probably going to have a lot of stories that have terrible art that could be from completely different eras amongst the collection and the different tales within it. But also, it bothers me that there are tales that can be retold over and over and over again, like it is here with the origin stuff. And that really bothered me. That's a hook that you will hear me repeat again and again with this review, as you already have, because I can't let it go. It really got under my skin that I had to sit through Kirk Langstrom's Man-Bat transformation origin, a mad scientist story, again and again and again. And that got old really quick. And it got even worse in some of the origin stories when we branch off into having his wife turn into like a woman-bat. Woman-bat? I don't know. That joke's dead. We need to move along. That was annoying too, because it happens like 2 or 3 times in here. But I will say this. From page like 120 or so and onward, the art got way, way, way better. I loved the art. I thought it was cool. A lot of the stories in here are collected from like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. Some of the best ones being from the 2000s. One in particular that I think was phenomenal. It was written by Dan Didio, and the art was done by J.G. Jones, and it's called Man-Bat Out of Hell. If you're not a Man-Bat person, and even if you are, you should read this. It's a black and white comic one-shot. And it's dark. It is the darkest story in here, probably the darkest Man-Bat thing I've ever heard of or read, and it is horrific. Absolutely horrific, in a good way. Like, it's quality entertainment, but it's shockingly horrific, and watching even Batman deal with that situation was mortifying, to be honest with you. Dan Didio wrote a hell of a comic there. But a lot of these are written by Chuck Dixon. From like the 100-page mark onward, you pretty much have Chuck Dixon's work in like, I think the 80s or the 90s, something like that. And I don't know much about Chuck Dixon. I've heard the name a million times amongst the comic community and amongst documentaries about comics. And I'm going to tell you, dude, a lot of his work, not so much in the writing department, but like the art that's accompanying that is really good. I love how Batman is drawn. I love how the villains, like Man-Bat in this case, are drawn. A lot of that stuff is really cool to me. I'm not in love with this book, but I enjoyed it. And I miss that. I miss just reading books and having a good time whilst reading them, whether it be novels, comics, whatever. I'm not a big fan of comic book compilations like this, or collections like this. Yeah, I love trade paperbacks. Yeah, I love like Marvel Essentials and stuff like that. Marvel Masterworks. Yeah, I love stuff like that, obviously. Manga collections, so on and so on. That all of that is good to me. But books like this, they have their good and they have their bad, and I think a lot of the time the bad kind of taints the good with the repetitive nature of this one, but also the art being so rough for me and my taste for the big chunk of the first third of the book. Almost the first half of the book, for that matter. But when it gets good, it gets really good, and I think I'd recommend it on that alone, because I like Man-Bat. I wouldn't call myself like a fanatic or a fan or anything, but I like him enough to say, if you're slightly interested in Kirk Langstrom / Man-Bat, and you want to know more about him, check out this book. I think you'll have a lot of cool stuff here you'll like. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And if you have read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about this down in the comment section down below, or your thoughts about Man-Bat in general. Yeah, he's kind of like a lizard ripoff villain, like I said, but I still like him. I still think he's cool. I think I like the lizard more. It's not just because it's Spider-Man, it's, the lizard. I think there's something cool and kind of universal monsters about that, just like there is with this, but I like that more. Anyway, when it comes to Batman Arkham, Man-Bat, I recommend it to the right person, like I said. Check it out if you haven't read it before, if you like Batman, if you like Batman mystery stuff with creatures and all of that. That's the best thing that comes out of this, in my opinion. So, check it out if you haven't read it before. Thank you all for watching, guys. What's your favorite Batman Arkham volume, or compilation, collection, whatever? Is it the Two-Face one? Is it something else? I'd love to hear all of that down below, too. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.